All right, very quickly, because I've tried this 4 times now and it hasn't worked quite as well as I would have liked it to. Something to do with cheap software. I'm going to talk you through what you need to be doing for your new assignment, which is due in the first couple of weeks back in term 2. Now, this history assignment is an 800-word essay, pretty bog standard sort of stuff. Will just require a little bit of research on your part. Okay, so if you go into, I'm just masquerading as Austin here, if you go into your sector, into the assessments tab, into Year 10 history, you'll come across these two assignments here. The draft of this essay is due on the 27th of April, which is the first week back. And the War Crimes essay final is due on the 8th of May, which is the week after that. Okay, so you've got a little bit of time, but you will definitely have to put in at least a few hours worth of work over the holidays to keep up to date on this, unless you smash it out before the end of term, which some of you may do. What are you doing for the assessment? Well, the task outline is here. It's very simple. You're going to write a persuasive essay of between 600 and 800 words, making an argument for why a particular historical figure should or should not be convicted of war crimes or crimes against humanity. Okay, so you're picking someone who is in the Second World War, for whom we have enough evidence to write an essay about, and you're going to write me a relatively short essay about why they should or shouldn't be convicted for the things they did. Okay, now what does that actually mean in practice? Well, now this has caused me to drop out and stop recording a couple of times. We'll try it again. Well, here we are in the land of PowerPoint. And this is the PowerPoint that those 6 people who were here today went through with me very quickly. In this PowerPoint, we're just looking at crimes committed by the Allies in Japan. In a previous PowerPoint, we had looked at the Nuremberg trials, which you would have seen from what was posted on Sector. These were trials where Nazi war criminals were tried for their crimes in Europe by the occupying forces of Britain, France, the United States, and the Soviet Union. The East Asian equivalent of the Nuremberg trials were called the Tokyo trials, and they did exactly the same job that the Nuremberg trials did. So in this PowerPoint presentation, you'll see just a few bits and bobs about the Tokyo trials, some important notes about what was going on in the world at the time, a few examples there of prominent war crimes that were part of the terms of reference for those trials that you might like to think about including in your essays. Some few other bits and bobs talking about Allied war crimes. Now, it might be worth discussing or thinking about whether you can make a case that certain Allied significant figures are guilty or not guilty of war crimes or crimes against humanity. And then if we go through all the way to the end, it's assignment time. And in this PowerPoint, and I'm going to spend the remaining 10 or so minutes of this video just talking you through what the process should be for making sure that your assignment comes out tickety-boo. Okay, so it's time to start thinking about what you're doing. And if you are feeling particularly brave, it's time to start writing about it as well. What you're going to do is you're going to write 800 words about a particular person. You are taking the role of a court, as if you were the court at Nuremberg or the court at the Tokyo trials. You are going to be weighing up the evidence for why or why not a certain person from history, and it can be whomever you like, why or why not that person is guilty or not guilty of war crimes or crimes against humanity. And there's just a few simple steps. Step 1 is you need to pick an event that you're interested in. So you might pick, if you've developed a particular interest in the Holocaust, from what we were going over last week, you might pick a particular aspect of the Holocaust. It would probably be easiest to pick a particular concentration camp. If you were interested in Japan in the Far East, you could identify a particular Japanese war crime that you're interested in. Or if you want to take a bit more of a controversial and, dare I say, more difficult to argue route, you can pick something that Allied troops were involved in and make the case that they committed war crimes, and indeed, if they had lost the Second World War instead of winning it, they would have been put on trial for the crimes they committed. It's an interesting counterfactual. It's most important at this stage to pick something that you're interested in. So you need to find, dare I say, your favourite atrocity from the Second World War and use that as the starting point. There are hundreds of war crimes and crimes against humanity that were committed during World War II, and there were thousands or perhaps even tens of thousands of people associated with those crimes who now have their very own Wikipedia page. So you should be able to find someone whose actions interest you and for whom you can find a large amount of evidence online. After you've picked the event, it should be much easier to identify significant figures who are associated with that event. Have a bit of a shop around, but it shouldn't be too difficult to find. Let's try one now. If we look online, here's Austin's lovely sector page again. If we look online, we can go to any event in World War II that tickles your fancy. In this case, for this example, I've used a Japanese unit that conducted various medical and biological experiments on Allied prisoners of war. That was simply called Unit 731. Now, for various reasons, the members of Unit 731 weren't prosecuted for their crimes at the end of World War II, but that doesn't necessarily mean they didn't do anything wrong. The reason they weren't prosecuted is that the Americans found it convenient to use some of their research for their own weapons programs, and that's a whole different kettle of fish. But if we look at this Wikipedia page, and this should be pretty indicative of how much material you're going to be able to come up with for your own essay, we can scroll down and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll, and there's mountains of evidence here. And not only are there mountains of evidence, but there are a number of books that have been written on the subject, and there are also a number of references. Now, as we all know, if you follow these references down their respective rabbit holes, you'll come across some really interesting sources. Primary sources are always best. So if you can get interviews with people who were affected by your event, if you can find copies of documents that prove that certain things were happening, so much the better. But if you follow the Wikipedia rabbit warren, you should be able to come up with some interesting stuff. Now, the other thing you can do from these wiki pages is that you've got the event here. So Unit 731 was this unit that committed atrocities throughout the Second World War. You can also very easily identify people who are associated with those atrocities. So we go down here, we can look at the perpetrators. Every wiki page will have something similar on it. And I can go to number one perpetrator, this chap whose name is Shiro Ishii, and he tickles my fancy. And he tickles my fancy for two reasons. He and I are very similar men. We are both very powerful men, of course, And we also share a birthday. So don't forget. So I'm interested in Shiro. He's caught my interest, and I've decided that I want to write my essay on him. All I need to do is have a bit of a read through his wiki page and going back a page through the wiki page of all the things he is alleged to have done. And then I can start researching some of these, chasing down some of these references. And I can also start writing my essay. So let's go back to the essay. Once you've picked your person, you're ready to start writing. And your essay is going to have a pretty standard structure. It's going to have an introduction of about 100 words, 3 body paragraphs that are about 200 words each, and a conclusion that's also about 100 words long. By the way, now would be a good time to start writing these things down if you're going to take notes. In your intro, which will be around about 100 words, maybe less, you'll give a brief overview of either war crimes or crimes against humanity. I think I would recommend that you decide to prosecute either one or the other, because if you were to prosecute someone for both war crimes and crimes against humanity, you might have an overfull essay. It might get a little bit busy. Talk about what the terms mean and give a little bit of historical context. Talk about how widespread these types of crimes were, why they were being perpetrated, things of that nature, just to help us to understand the context. After you've written your 100-word intro, you move on to your first paragraph. And your first paragraph doesn't need to be particularly long. You're just letting us know what the facts are. What are the facts? What was the person's role in the war? If it was a concentration camp commander, for example, what dates were they the commander of this concentration camp from and to? And can you link those dates to any particular deaths or any particular number of deaths? Were they prominent in the regime? Were they well liked or close associates of someone like Hitler, or if they were Japanese, Tojo? Give us a little bit of contextual information to help us to understand the rest of it. And the rest of it is quite simple. Using those facts and whatever other facts you can come up with, in your second body paragraph, you will simply make the case for the prosecution. You're arguing in the affirmative. It's kind of like a debate. Tell me why this person should be convicted of either a war crime or a crime against humanity. And, as much as you are able, refer to evidence, primary sources. When you have done that, about 200 words worth, maybe more, you're going to invert it. And in paragraph 3, you're going to do the opposite and make the case for the defense. Tell me if there are any reasons why they shouldn't be convicted of war crimes or crimes against humanity. And once again, refer as much as you can to the evidence. Primary sources, if possible. I cannot emphasize that enough. Finally, once you've laid out the facts, once you've laid out the case for the prosecution, and once you've offered any defense that you might be able to come up with, you're going to move to your conclusion. You're going to briefly summarize the evidence for and against that you've introduced, only the most important pieces, and then you're going to make a judgment call. Should they or should they not be found guilty? And now there's a number of ways you can tackle this essay, but that is the simplest way to do it out of them all. Now, very last thing, you're going to have a few questions and you're going to be unsure about what you should be doing to start off with. For any questions, there will be a forum posted that will look like this: War Crimes and Crimes Against Humanity. Follow the instructions and we'll work out exactly who you're going to pick.